One of my favorite things about spending time in nature is that I always gain perspective. I'm hiking today near where I live on Vancouver Island on the west coast of Canada. The forest here is considered a temperate rainforest because we get a lot of rain every single year. And when you look around at the plants and the trees, you can tell they grow and grow and grow. The old growth trees here are absolutely massive. Also, because we're on an island, there's a lot of access to the ocean, which is really special. The ocean is so powerful. Sometimes you look out at it and it's calm and there's not much happening, but it's still so powerful with currents and tides. But then when the swell picks up and there's waves crashing in, you're really reminded of how powerful the ocean is. As I walk through the rainforest and I clamber over the giant roots and past huge logs and beside massive ferns, and everything is just so big, I am reminded how small I am in comparison. Look at how high these bushes are. Like this log. It's so thick. Like, I'm 5'9" for perspective. This log is, everything is just humongous. Makes you feel so small in comparison. When I'm sitting on the beach watching the waves crash in and looking out at the horizon at how much water is in the ocean, I'm again reminded of how small I am in comparison. I love that feeling of being humbled when I'm out in nature. When I'm by massive trees, I feel small. When I'm looking out at the ocean, I feel insignificant. When I'm hiking through the mountains, I feel like the smallest little speck in comparison to the landscape I'm in. And that humbling feeling is so good because it reminds me that I am this very, very small bit of this huge planet and this huge universe. And that helps me gain perspective. Sometimes when I'm not in nature, when I'm in a town or a city, if I'm busy with regular day-to-day things, I can get really caught up in the details of what's going on. I can get stressed about very small things and big things too, but that can really start to build up and I can become really focused in on what isn't working or what I'm not doing well, and I can get into this pattern, this thought pattern that isn't very healthy for me. Obviously, there are things that are difficult about being a human out here on this planet. Like, there are lots of difficult times. What I notice is when I don't get perspective enough, then some of the things that actually I don't think are as important, when I like truly sit with those things and truly think about them, it's like I start to classify them as more important in my mind and they start to affect me more. And then when I come out in nature and my perspective shifts back to realizing, oh, I'm so small compared to this tree, compared to this forest, even compared to this fern. Then those things that I had been stressing about or putting more importance on than I truly believe in my heart they deserve, those start to shrink in comparison too. And it's almost like I can see my life a little bit more from a bird's eye view, or from my drone's eye view. And I can see, oh, okay, if I'm this small in comparison to this landscape, then what I'm focusing on right now, maybe I don't need to put as much weight on that. Maybe it isn't as important as my brain has convinced me it is. Maybe there is an easy solution that I've been overlooking because I've been caught up in the stress of it or the anxiety of a certain scenario. I'm sitting out here looking out at the ocean and the waterfall. Nature is just so powerful, and sitting here I just feel like a tiny little speck compared to just this bay. Then you look out at the whole ocean, watching the waterfall continuously drop, just water droplet after water droplet forever. The ocean is just so powerful. I'm also looking up at these trees, and they are so big and so resilient. They just are here with the storms blasting them all the time. To give a specific example, on the car ride out here, I was feeling like I was having a really hard time making decisions, even trying to decide what I was going to film today when we were out here on our hike, and feeling like I didn't have a grasp on what I should decide to do. And sometimes this happens when my brain gets filled up with a whole bunch of information. And then once I got out here, I started breathing the fresh air, walking through the forest and along the beach. Those different thoughts that were swirling around in my mind, I was able to clear them out a little bit once I gained that perspective. It was like doing a little bit of house cleaning, like cleaning out some of those thoughts that were getting in the way of my ability to see what decisions I needed to make and see myself and my life a little bit more clearly. For me, being able to set myself up to be outside on hiking trails more, that's really important to me. And so making decisions that are aligned with that makes more sense for me. Another priority for me is taking care of my needs enough so that I can keep my creativity well full and keep myself able to create these videos. That's so important to me. And so when I think about it that way, then a lot of clarity comes and I get that perspective. Back down on the beach now. The tide's going out, so the beach is bigger. So nice. If you look close enough in these tide pools, you can spot little creatures, little fish, hermit crabs, other types of crabs, limpets, sea snails, so many critters. Look at, you see that, or that shell? Look at 1, 2, 3, 4 fish are right in the shell. Oh, there's a fifth swimming in. See it?
Yep.
I super benefit from the perspective I can gain from being out in nature, and I can get that from being in a park in the city. I can get that from being way out in the backcountry and so many different places in between, but there is just something so humbling and beautiful and powerful about nature. Even being in my apartment when there's a big storm happening, super strong winds or really strong rain, that can be so humbling and just give me the perspective of, oh, if we make it through this storm, that is so much more important to me than some of the smaller things that I was worrying about earlier that day. I think that perspective can be so powerful. It helps me gain clarity in what decisions I want to make in my life. It helps me realize what I truly value, and I love gaining that perspective as often as I can. Anytime I notice that my thoughts get a bit too overwhelming, or I'm having a hard time with creativity, or I'm having a hard time making decisions, I know that if I do something that allows me to gain some perspective, I will probably figure it out. Oh, that was a nice hike. I really hope that you enjoyed joining me for this day hike and also these thoughts about perspective and how nature can give you that. And I'll see you in next week's video. Bye!